Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Hooked on Fantasy. Akash has a microphone now, and we are rolling back into college, first day of classes. It was the first day of classes for you today, too?
Yeah. Technically classes started last week for me, but I missed first couple days because I had to quarantine. But I'm good now.
Ew. Gross. Anyway,
Yeah.
so first day of
Yeah.
classes for both of us. It's kind of terrible. But we get to take a break now because we're done, and time to talk some fantasy football and some real-life football as well. So getting some news and notes for today. That game, Chiefs and Bills, might have been the best game of football I've ever watched in my life. It was ridiculous, and the NFL needs to change the overtime rules immediately because they won that game on a coin flip, essentially.
Yeah, it's up there with one of the best games. I think the best two games I've ever seen are Chiefs football with Mahomes. It's that one, and then the Chiefs Rams one from a few years ago. Maybe a little bit of recency bias, but I really don't think so. Both of those are amazing games.
I think if you ask anybody, I mean, it's between those two for a lot of people for sure, and then like not counting Super Bowls, of course, because there's a lot of
Yeah,
like
Super Bowls always
iconic.
have the extra aspect, but
Yeah, of course, because like I mean, I feel like the Eagles Patriots Super Bowl was insane. The Steelers Cardinals won. The Patriots Falcons won. There's a ton of really good Super Bowls in recent history, but yeah, that game was crazy. Playoff football so far has been really, really good, except for the Steelers Chiefs game and the Eagles Bucks games. They were both terrible.
the Bills
Um,
Patriots one was a bit.
I know, but like it was bad, but like it was a
It was
blowout.
fun to watch the master class for Josh Allen. That was just
Yeah,
fun
that's
to
what I was
watch.
gonna say. Like it was just fun to watch them just beat the crap out of the Patriots. So that was fun to watch. The Steelers and Chiefs was gross because it was just a lot of punts in like the first quarter, and then it was Mahomes just not there, just shredding the
hmm
Steelers.
You know, you can like kind of measure how exciting a game is by like stretching out the win probability chart. So if a game has a bunch of big swings, it's gonna go like this in the win probability chart, and that'll make it like longer if you stretch it out. And dude, that win probability chart for the Chiefs game, man, it would look like it was just going back and forth between both the teams. That was an insane game.
That game was insane. I seriously don't remember the last time I saw a game, and like every single moment that they had to execute, they did. Like I still couldn't
hmm
believe the Chiefs got down the field goal range in 13 seconds.
Yeah, that was insane. Like
Ridiculous. That's
somehow
so crazy.
I just knew they were gonna do it. I don't know. I just knew. It's just
I mean, yeah. I mean,
Mahomes.
everyone always like knows. I also really thought the Buccaneers were going to come back and win that game too. I really thought they were gonna. But that again, Stafford had that clutch drive with Cooper Kupp. He and Kupp just tore it up. Cooper Kupp is so good, man. It's crazy how good he is. He's insane.
Yeah.
Like the step forward he's taken this year is crazy talent wise. And him and Stafford just eat breakfast together, so they're dominant, obviously.
Yeah. That
Anyway,
was
so next week we're gonna have the AFC Championship and NFC Championship games. Early predictions: we got Bengals and Chiefs and 49ers and Rams. I'm gonna take the side of history in the NFC. I think the 49ers pull off their upset, continue their Cinderella story to end the Super Bowl, and I think the Chiefs are gonna take out Cincinnati on their second try. And I think we're gonna see a Chiefs 49ers Super Bowl with the Chiefs taking it home and Mahomes gets a second Super Bowl ring. What do you think?
that's what I'm thinking too. And then you end up with a rematch of the Jimmy G Mahomes Super Bowl. I don't want to see Jimmy G in another Super Bowl, but maybe we will. 49ers do have a history of beating the Rams over the last few years, but it could be a good one over there. I know the Bengals did beat the Chiefs earlier in the season, and I'll be rooting for the Bengals this coming week, but I don't know if they'll be able to hang with Mahomes a second time. But they
I feel
definitely
like
have a shot.
everyone's rooting for the Bengals.
Like they're still dangerous. Like they beat the Chiefs earlier in the season. It's like any given Sunday, they still have a great chance because of the offense they have. Their defense, they can do okay. Obviously you're not going to stop Mahomes for very long, but they'll look a minute, and then for the other game, um, 49ers have a great offense except for the quarterback, and then the Rams have a really good offense. Both have good defenses. You got to be a pretty complete team to make it this far. So I think we're going to see some good football.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, like you said, you have to be a very complete team to make it this far. It's going to be very interesting to see the difference between, the 49ers Rams regular season 6-0 versus the playoffs. I mean, it's a totally different kind of game. The winner go home. Game 7 kind of mentality is completely different. So it's going to be very interesting. Super Bowl, who's your Super Bowl pick, Akash?
Chiefs.
Got to take the chalk. I mean, In my
Yeah.
opinion, they're by far the best team left available in the pool. The Rams are
Mhm.
also really good. It's gonna be
Yeah.
really interesting though. I think the Bengals are red hot, but I don't think they're a better team than the Chiefs, and I feel like most would agree with that. Um, Lastly, on the notes here before we head into the QB carousel, Baker Mayfield underwent shoulder surgery on his torn labrum on his non-throwing shoulder. Will he be back better next season? We'll talk about him a little bit later with the QB carousel. But I honestly, I'm a known Baker Mayfield hater on Twitter, but I do think that a large part of his struggles this season was due to injury. I still think he's mid, but I do think he will come back better next season. What do you think?
I liked him coming into the season and just as a QB. Obviously, for fantasy, it was a bit less useful because of the offense they have. But just as a quarterback, I wasn't as low on him as you were. I thought he was a pretty good QB. I thought he could get it done, but obviously this season has not been great. There's been some injury. I think it's probably a combination of a lot of factors, including Baker not being as good as I thought, maybe, as well as the injuries in the wide receiver core, the line, I guess, everything. It's just a complete shit show. But I think that bounce back for a guy like Baker is, I won't say inevitable, but when you're like, that's his floor. And so once you're at your floor, I think that there's reasonably nowhere to go but up.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with that. All right, let's hop into the meat of our segments for today's show, the QB carousel. We're gonna go around in alphabetical order, just because every single team in the NFL, all 32, take a look at their starting quarterbacks in this year and maybe a couple years down the road, kind of see long term where this team could be headed, in our opinion. Some of these will obviously be a little bit boring. Starting off with the first one, the Arizona Cardinals. Kyler Murray is the future of this team and the present. I think he is very good and he will be for a long time for them. Akash, I assume you agree. So we're just going to move on to your Atlanta Falcons. Akash, I'll let you take this one. What do you think about the whole Matt Ryan situation currently?
He's not great right now for us, but he's there, and we got a lot of money committed to him. We can't move on just yet. I don't think. I don't think that we addressed the position just yet. Maybe I don't know. I don't know. But your starter for 2022 for the Falcons is Matt Ryan. There's a lot of uncertainty with like the whole weapons and stuff. This whole team is moving in the direction of a rebuild, which is why it's so strange to see the 36, 37-year-old QB still out there. But for right now, the money tied to Matt Ryan basically guarantees that he's there starting in 2022.
Yeah, I agree. It is a really strange kind of method to rebuild with a 37-year-old quarterback with Matt Ryan. I personally would be trying to get rid of him if I was the Falcons general manager. But like you said, that
Mhm.
contract is very, very large. I would be trying to move him for. I would take a second-round pick for him at this point, honestly, to get
Hey,
the
he
salary.
can be just as good as Stafford in the right situation, and I'll say that. Yeah, I can
No,
convince
he's not
myself
as
of
good as
that,
Stafford.
right? I
I
can
like him,
delude.
but he's not as good as Stafford. Not even
I
close.
can delude myself into that, right? Yeah, yeah. I mean,
Mm,
no, at this point, Matt Ryan's not. He's probably on the other side of his prime. He's not like cooked like Big Ben was, but he's no Matt Stafford, I don't think. But to
no,
be
not at all.
fair, Stafford's last year in Detroit wasn't that great either. So
That's fair. All right, let's bundle up these next two here. Baltimore Ravens, you got Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen there. Not too much. Bills and Ravens. Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson, not too much going on there. Ravens, a little interesting caveat, though, is the presence of Tyler Huntley. I think they could try to trade him this offseason, maybe get a little draft capital for him.
for who?
I think it's possible. You
Huntley?
don't think anyone's going to want him?
For what? Huntley?
Yeah.
Nah. I mean, they'll just hold on to him because he fits their offense, so that makes him a perfect backup for them.
You're right. It does make sense for them to hold on, but if they could get like a third round pick or something, I would do that deal every day.
Yeah, I
Buffalo
don't think he
Bills,
does.
nothing crazy going on there. You got Mitch Trubisky who could be on the move maybe, but it's the Josh Allen show. No one really cares. Moving into
Yeah.
the next one though, this one's one of the most interesting QB room controversies in the NFL right now. Carolina Panthers went out and traded for Sam Darnold. He played like ass this year. Kind of showed exactly what we saw in New York from him, unfortunately. He got off to a red hot start. He was rushing for a bunch of touchdowns, looked really good, and then the wheels completely fell off. I think it's pretty safe to say that they should probably move from Donald, but they have some money invested in that trade invested in him. So it's going to be really interesting to see what they do moving forward. Akash, if you were the GM of the Carolina Panthers, what would you do with this situation?
Stop being eternally optimistic about Darnold. He's just bad. The second they traded for him, he was bad in New York, right? And they just made those excuses. Not only did they trade a second rounder for them and other picks, they exercised his 5th-year option the second he got there. And now they're stuck with him for this year. If they hadn't exercised his 5th-year option, he'd be gone. They wouldn't have had to deal with him.
Well,
But
I
instead,
personally don't mind the exercising of the 5th-year option for Darnold, just because his contract is so affordable relative to most quarterback play in the NFL. So I understand that move, especially when they thought they were getting more for him. So that made sense at the time. But, I mean, you kind
if
of
I had
are
a guy that came in who was just bad for 3 years and I said I can fix him, I would be more hesitant to exercise his 5th-year option just because I'd try to see if I could fix him or if he was going to be any good at all before I did that. I think that was a dumb move by them. But
if
yeah,
he
I get your
was really
point.
good, but it's a low risk, high reward situation, though, because if he balls out, then you're going to have to pay him a shit ton of money to stay. You know?
Okay.
And then, but
Well,
if he's
not a shit
then
ton, but
if
definitely a
he
good
is
amount.
good and he's going into that 5th year, it's a really affordable contract for you to build your team around as a contender. Like, look what the Bengals did with Burrow. It's not Burrow, but you know what I mean. Like, that's the golden standard of building around a young quarterback, and you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But I personally would be trying to get out. Hold on to 1 more year makes sense with the contract I just mentioned, but I mean there are plenty of other guys out there I'd be willing to give a shot. I would much rather throw out Jameis Winston than Sam Darnold personally.
Yeah. But I think Darnold's there. I don't know if he starts. I think they'll just bring in a veteran to compete because of how bad Darnold is. I don't know. Some Andy Dalton's floating out there. Andy Dalton will eventually make his way onto competing for a job somewhere. That's why he's a great stash in Superflex, just because he's a guy that teams will bring in because they can.
Absolutely. And moving on to his team, Chicago Bears. Justin Fields, not too many cliff notes here. Interesting to see what they do with Nick Foles over the offseason. He might just get cut. Dalton's also there as well. So there's a few names to monitor there as far as dynasty fantasy football goes, absolutely. But as far as real life goes, this job is Justin Fields. No one else is going to be touching the field for the Bears next year, barring injury. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Moving on, Cincinnati Bengals. Don't even really need to talk about this one. Joe Burrow.
Shiesty.
You are too low on Joe Burrow. Always have been,
Yeah.
always will be. Too low on Joe Burrow. Love that man so much. Moving on to the Cleveland Browns. All I want to say on Baker Mayfield before I let you hit this one, Kosh, is I told you so. Everyone on Twitter this entire last year, I've been saying that Baker's bad. And I used to I got crucified a while ago for saying that Derek Carr was better than Baker Mayfield.
You just said that. You just said that it was because of injury that it was bad, though.
I know. I'm saying but he's bad in general. You know what I mean?
But you just said it was because of injury.
Yeah. I'm not saying that's the only reason he's bad.
He wasn't hurt before the season, so you saying he was bad before the season, before he was injured, you're going to victory lap that?
Yeah.
You just said he was bad because of the injury.
I didn't say he's bad because of the injury. It makes him worse. But he's not bad because of the injury. He's always been bad. I never thought he's been good.
He has been good. Before the season, he was good.
Last year, he was bad.
No, he wasn't. He was pretty good.
He was.
Nah, he was pretty good.
No.
He wasn't.
Anyway.
What do you mean?
Baker's mid, and he's holding the Browns back, regardless of injury. He's not a good quarterback. I personally think that the Browns are going to stick with him, even though they probably shouldn't. I hope they don't give him a huge contract extension. I don't think they will. I think they're too smart for that. But he's a really interesting quarterback. I feel like a lot of the times in the last few years in the NFL, we've seen a lot of quarterbacks who have either succeeded very well and got a large second contract, or they have just completely sucked, a la Mitch Trubisky or Blake Bortles, and just like hit the road. Baker Mayfield kind of rides a gray area between the two, in my opinion, where he has his moments of being bad and he has his moments of being good. And it's going to really come down to the Cleveland Browns if they believe that Baker is that guy for them, or if they are going to try to upgrade the position elsewhere, maybe in a sign and trade or through the draft. We'll see.
He's in his Carson Wentz era.
He really is. Yeah, he kind of does feel like Carson Wentz a little bit.
Okay, so last year,
for a while.
Last year, Baker had an 85 PFF passing grade.
Okay.
Which was in the league that was 9th. So pretty good.
Yeah. I don't care. He's bad. Anyway, anything you want to say about Baker?
He was good last year.
I
I
don't
don't
like him.
know. He was good in 2020, objectively.
He's
So
inconsistent. That's always been his problem, is inconsistency. You can never consistently play at a high level.
oh,
It was up and
maybe.
down like this every year.
Maybe there's a lot of variance week to week for every single position and every single player. Like, I don't know.
That's fine.
Josh
Anyway, moving on
Allen's
to the Dallas
inconsistent because
Cowboys.
he was good against the Jaguars. I don't know. It just happens. You just got to say, like, looking at the bigger picture, he was good coming into this year, and he had a bad year. And that year has been so bad that it should be enough to, like, make you reconsider him. And but ultimately, I think that that's his floor. So he'll eventually bounce back. To what level he bounces back, I don't know. But Browns just stick with him, see what happens. And if he bounces back well, then maybe they can sign him to a lesser extension and be like, and they can get him for cheaper than like the 30 something mil he was going to get before, just because of how bad his 2021 was.
All right, yeah. Moving on from the Dallas Cowboys into the Denver Broncos, who are in a wasteland of Teddy Bridgewater and Drew Lock. They're a juicy destination for trade. Aaron Rodgers makes sense. Russell Wilson makes sense if he wants out. I don't think he does anymore, though. Who else is on the trade block? Deshaun Watson makes sense there. I think they should definitely be in the conversation for these kind of guys. But I think they're probably going to not get any of them because they're the Denver Broncos and they always fail somehow. I feel like we're going to see this team continue to try to build through the draft.
They seem like a team that's going to sign Dan Quinn. Dan Quinn's going to keep being passive and not be aggressive with the QB, and they're just going to roll out another season of mid QB play, and it's going to suck.
Yeah, sounds about right. I do think this is a fantastic landing spot for a top-tier quarterback, though. However, I don't think that they're going to be coming to town.
Yeah, it's a good landing spot, but I don't know if they get a Rodgers, they already have the defense. They have decent weapons. I don't know.
Yeah, I agree.
It's
Moving
like
on.
Which came first, the chicken or the egg? One being all the Denver weapons playing horribly, and one being the QB play.
QB play.
And the offense just shutting down completely.
QB play. It's all in the quarterback opinion. Lions, more Goff? Question mark. I think yes. I think you see another season of Jared Goff in Detroit.
He wasn't bad. He had some good games down the stretch. Like once Amon-Ra started coming out of his shell, and well, T.J. Hawkinson wasn't there, but he got Swift back eventually. But he had some good games down the stretch. I think Goff's always going to be like semi-competent. Maybe a bridge QB, maybe he's a cheap starter. So I think he's their starter next year as they continue the rebuild and just focus on 2023. They'll draft like Hutchinson this year.
I think Jared Goff a overhated quarterback, honestly. I think he was in a terrible situation as far as what go in Detroit this year for most of the season. And he wasn't the worst. He definitely could have done worse. I do think that he's a capable quarterback in the right situation. I think he's worth holding on to for another season as a starter. Packers, Aaron Rodgers, big question mark here. What are you thinking, Akash?
Based on like what happened before, and their whole cap situation, like salary cap, I guess, yeah, it's a myth. Sure, you can always move stuff around, but they have no good weapons under contract for next year because they're well, I guess Aaron Jones, but then their best receiver, Devontae Adams, is a free agent, and so if he doesn't stay, Rodgers, I don't think he stays at all. And if they can somehow convince both of them to stay, then maybe we get one more last dance attempt. But it's going to be tricky for them. They're going to have to move a lot of stuff around, which is why I think that it's just I'd be preparing for Jordan Love season if I'm paying attention to the Packers.
Yeah,
which isn't bad. It's not a bad thing. Like Jordan Love was a developmental guy, but he was drafted in the first round. Some signal that they liked him and that maybe he had some talent. I mean, he wasn't a good prospect. He was pretty mediocre, but he's no like Drew Lock or something, or he's not like a third rounder. He's not Kellen Mond. So
he has potential for sure. I'm interested to see what he can do with a full season of starting.
Yeah.
It would make sense for the Packers just to give him some reps and get Aaron Rodgers in a trade package out of there somewhere, or get Devontae Adams. I wish they could trade him, but they're probably just gonna let him walk if
Mhm.
he leaves. But Packers is
Yeah.
definitely an interesting one to keep your eye on with the Aaron Rodgers drama and Jordan Love drama all offseason long. It's gonna be an interesting team. We're gonna talk about a ton probably. Moving on, Houston Texans. I think Davis Mills gets another shot, man. I think he showed a lot of potential this season. What about you?
Maybe. I think it all comes down to the new coach. Because if Cully had stayed, then I would have said, yeah, it makes sense for them, and I think that's what they do. But Mills, he had decent flashes, I guess, but overall, he was just okay. You bring in a new coach, maybe the new coach wants to go out, make a splash somewhere. Maybe it's a lot of uncertainty. Davis Mills could definitely get a shot just because he's a cheap, rich quarterback. But I don't know what to expect from them. And 99% sure it won't be Deshaun Watson. So
Yeah, I don't think so either, unless they sign Brian Flores to be their head coach and he pulls off a miracle. But I don't think it's gonna happen. Colts.
I saw
Carson
someone.
Wentz is good, in my opinion. He's good,
Yeah,
in my opinion.
he's good enough to
Austin,
stick around and be their guy.
Davis Mills of Pittsburgh. I would love Davis Mills for a year. I would try
Yeah,
him
but
out.
that won't happen just because they're not going to trade a rookie or like I guess a guy going into his second year.
Probably not. Yeah, I think
Unless
they're gonna hold on
unless
to
like
him.
you can get something actually good for him. You draft him in the third. He showed flashes. You're not going to trade him for anything but like a second. Are the Steelers going to give up a second, or are they going to go get like Jimmy G or something? We'll talk about that
That's
later.
not that's not a very Pittsburgh Steelers move, in my opinion.
Yeah,
Colts. I think Carson Wentz is good. Hot
yeah.
take.
I wrote
I think he's
just
good.
mediocre enough to stick around. That's true. He's fine. Mm.
He's fine.
That Jaguars game left a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths, and there were some comments that are like, "Yeah, we're gonna have to reevaluate over the offseason." But I think that they'll just stick with him,
Yeah,
right?
he
He
had
got his
he had
guy.
some
He got his
games, but
guy. They almost made the playoffs. You can't
they should have
complain.
made the playoffs.
Yeah. After starting like what 1-3, they made a good run for it.
They really did. I mean, they beat the Buccaneers along the way as well.
Yeah,
Moving on
and
to
the
the
Patriots.
Jaguars.
Yeah,
It's Trevor Lawrence season there. Chiefs, obviously Patrick Mahomes.
yeah.
I'm not going to make up some bullshit and say he's on the hot seat or something because he's not. He's the best quarterback I've ever seen play in my life. Vegas Raiders. Derek Carr is an interesting situation to monitor there.
Yeah.
He might be on the outs depending on the head coaching hire, according to some rumors I've seen around Twitter.
That'd be
Um,
dumb. I think. I don't know.
well,
It's in the
I
same
think
bucket
he
as
wants out.
Cousins.
I think he
He's
wants out.
good. Yeah, he's underrated. It's just how much does he help the team ceiling, etc. All that discussions.
I
I
would
think he'll stick
love
around.
Derek Carr on the Steelers. He's a perfect
Yeah.
quarterback for that team.
Yes, he's like a better Jimmy G.
Yeah, he's great. I love Derek Carr. I've been a big Derek Carr guy for a long time, personally.
Yeah.
Interesting situation to monitor there, though.
And then they
Raiders
got
moving on.
Mariota as a backup. Maybe he goes somewhere interesting. I don't know.
Maybe they ship out
Something
Carr and just keep
random.
Mariota.
Yeah. He's a guy in Superflex that I like just because it doesn't matter if he's good because he rushes. So I think he had a top
Yeah.
12 season, even when he was bad in Tennessee. He was still top 12 just because how
Yep.
much he rushed.
Yep. Mariota's a goat, man. He really is. Chargers, Justin Herbert. Don't need to talk about that. Stafford, Rams quarterback for the next few years at least. Dolphins,
Yeah.
Tua. Don't need to talk about that. Vikings. Kirk Cousins is good, but like you said in your notes here, they might want a fresh start there. I would
Maybe.
not be surprised if they traded him this offseason.
It's possible. I do think he's good, like I said. He's underrated. But new coach, etc. might want a head start. That contract for him isn't terrific, and I don't know. He's viewed by a lot of people as a guy that doesn't really help your team's ceiling. He's just like a good, competent guy. And the signing made sense back in 2018 or 2019. You coming off of a season where you really made it really far, NFC Championship game. Case Keenum took you that far, and you want to slightly upgrade your quarterback position. You don't want to get a rookie because you're obviously going to hurt your quarterback position in the short term while your defense is still really good. And so you just sign a veteran to a lot of money, and it didn't work out for them. But now a couple years removed from that, their team has missed the playoffs. Back-to-back years?
Yeah.
So I don't know. They could definitely want a fresh start with the new
I think
coach
it's really
coming
going to
in.
depend on that head coach.
New GM too. So
Yep, new GM and coach is going to be really important.
whole fresh start except for the quarterback there. So maybe they want to make it up all three gone because that's like the three things that you want all aligned: your GM, coach, and quarterback. Because those are like your three main guys that you want to have build from the ground up.
Absolutely.
Patriots.
Moving on to Patriots. Daddy.
Yeah.
We love it.
We can create content by pretending there's controversy after that last game. But no, it is Mac. Yeah.
No.
No,
No,
we
we
can't
like
do
Mac.
that's
We love Mac.
immoral. That's immoral.
Yeah. We're not doing any immoral clickbait around here. Saints.
Right. Except for the one that
Saints
gets
bring back
clicks.
Jameis. They really should bring back Jameis.
Yeah, he was good before the injury. He only played like 7 games, but he was good. And that team just crumbled without him once again to Simeon and Taysom. But I think maybe they let him walk. Maybe they re-sign him. I don't
They
know.
also very easily could draft a quarterback this year in the first round because they're in that mid to late first like teens, which is like where some of the top quarterbacks will probably fall this year in the draft. So the Saints definitely could be a draft a quarterback watch candidate in my opinion this year.
Their defense is really good. Like if they want to compete, they were good before Jameis got hurt. I forgot what their record was, but it was right there with the Bucks, I think. And then they beat the Bucks twice this year. Jameis coming back if he can play like he did before, which I don't have huge doubts that he will because he's always been a pretty good quarterback. Everyone just hates on him because of that one really bad season in 2019. But with a good defense and a confident quarterback in Jameis, that team can make some wild card noise. They can win the division if Brady retires, but we'll talk about that later.
Yeah. New York Giants, I'll keep it short and sweet. Daniel Jones is bad. He needs to get out of there, in my opinion.
That's a reasonable take, yeah. But I think he's the guy just for a year, just because I don't know. He's the guy. Maybe they bring in someone, but he seems like he'll start for them.
I really just don't want Daniel Jones to get the Sam Darnold treatment. Everyone's like, "Oh, his situation was terrible." Like, no, he's just a bad player. Straight up.
I think I like that only because I took over an orphan where I had Daniel Jones. So I'd like that very much, just so that I can trade him for something good before the floor comes out from under him. Maybe he's good though. I don't know. I remember Dynasty IM was doing comps for his last year, and it was like Russell Wilson. And I'm like, what the fuck? But maybe he wasn't that bad this year compared to the year before, but he still wasn't that good. So
yeah, moving on here, New York Jets. Zach Wilson's going to get at least one more year with the team, and I think he's going to be pretty good once he finishes his development. He ended the season on a pretty solid note. Zach Wilson did with the Jets there. Him and Elijah Moore are going to be the nice combo for a long time. Eagles. I think Jalen Hurts is the starting quarterback next year. Pretty confident in that these days.
Well, they said that, so yeah, I feel confident about it for at least this year. We can bring up everything else after, but they said he'd be the guy. Maybe they draft someone. I don't know. They fill him balls into their lap, maybe, but
I think Hurts is pretty good. I really do. I think his situation isn't great still with the weapons there. I think they definitely need some more help, in my opinion. They need someone not named Jalen Reagor on the outside with Devonta Smith. Anyway, moving on to the Steelers, which is one of the weirder ones because Big Ben is gone now, retired. He's a glaring hole.
Let's go. Yeah.
As long as it's anyone, my philosophy is anyone but Mason Rudolph and Dwayne Haskins. I'll take anybody
That's
else.
An upgrade. If you move from Ben to any quarterback not named Rudolph or Haskins there, that's a huge upgrade.
Huge.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm so glad Ben is gone. Let me just say that.
Dude, it was painful to watch. It really was. I love the guy as far as what he did for the team. I wasn't a huge fan of his personally, obviously. Kind of gross. But listen, the man played football well, and we need a replacement. And just please, Jesus, I cannot stand to watch a full season of Mason Rudolph. I can't do it. I cannot.
I don't think they will. I mean,
please don't.
They're just bad players. We know they're bad players.
They're not good. Absolutely.
The guys in Pittsburgh know that they're not good players. Yep. So them signing small deals to stay, I don't think that's anything.
Jimmy Garoppolo would be my top choice. Absolutely.
Yeah, there's Rodgers like a top option if they really want to swing for the fences. Maybe not. And then there's Jameis, Jimmy, Derek Carr. There's a lot of options there. Maybe they draft someone. They're in the same range of the late teens, early 20s. So maybe someone falls in their lap. We'll see how it plays out. But no matter what it is, I want to stop seeing people say that it hurts Deontay Johnson because it doesn't. It's an upgrade. QB upgrades are good things, people.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. Moving on, 49ers, I think it's pretty obvious Trey Lance is probably going to be the starting quarterback next year.
Hell yeah.
He's looked pretty
Awesome.
good when he's been playing, fantasy wise
Dude,
and real life. I think he's gonna be great for fantasy, especially. I like Trey Lance a lot. I think he's gonna have a good career for the 49ers. Absolutely.
and if this team
Seahawks,
can be this good with Jimmy Garoppolo and go to Super Bowls like 2 out of 3 years, imagine how good they can be if Lance hits his ceiling. That's
crazy
a
good,
scary thought, dude.
really good. Seahawks, Russell Wilson trade. I think he's gonna stay. Honestly, I think Russ is
Yeah.
gonna stay in Seattle. So pretty
Yeah, I hope so.
anticlimactic.
That'd be great.
Buccaneers, is Brady gonna retire? I don't think so. I think he has one more year left in
Nah.
him.
I don't think he goes on a loss either.
Nah, I think he's gonna want to come back and try one more. I mean, he looked great this year. I think he has no signs of
Yeah.
slowing down. I think he's gonna go back for another one.
The
Titans,
one thing is he doesn't like want to be part of a rebuild. Obviously, he wants
yeah,
to win this year. And so if they can't get the band back together for one more year, that probably increases the risk that he retires, but I really don't think he will. I think no AB, Godwin. I think Godwin, like, he might leave in free agency just because he can get a bag somewhere else and coming off the injury. And then you have Mike Evans, who's a good player, and Leonard Fournette, Gronkowski. They're both free agents too. So I don't know. If they can get the band back together in some capacity, then Brady definitely staying, I think, just because not going to go out on a loss. Hasn't shown any signs of decline, but I don't know. There's some uncertainty.
yeah. I think he comes back as well. Two more teams here. We got the Tennessee Titans. It's the Ryan Tannehill show once again, pretty much. And Washington, Taylor Heineke, not the guy. I don't think he is. But
Why'd
we'll
I put
see
a
if
question
he
mark? He's not the guy. Nah, he's so bad.
Yeah,
He's not the guy.
He's not the guy. I think that they're gonna draft somebody, hopefully, or sign
I
him.
hope so, man. You don't have anything until you have a franchise quarterback, and right now Washington
true.
has nothing.
Very, very true.
It'll be interesting to see who they go after. I don't know. I saw like Willis Mock there and like other players. I don't know. Howell too. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, draft season's still pretty far away. We'll see how the board shakes out. But all right, that'll
Yeah.
do it for today's episode, guys. We will be back with another one on Thursday, I believe. So
Yes,
see you guys
sir.
next time. Akash, say goodbye to people.
All right. Bye, people.